Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. Thanks to those of you who signed up for a reading with me or a healing with me. It's been such a joy to share that intuition and that energy with you. I also enjoy connecting with those in my spiritual community and writing community.
Okay,
Allison
perfect.
Snowden is someone I met at IANS, and sometimes people ask me, well, how do you find people to interview? And would you interview me? And I'm like, I know a lot of these people. So I met Allison at an IANS gathering, and she was doing healing work there. And I was really impressed from the beginning that she is a trauma thriver, a theta healer, a near-death experiencer, and her near-death experience is profound. I've interviewed her on my YouTube channel. You can check it out there. But she's had a life of working on healing, and that's what we might begin talking about, is why healing is so important. And she has lots of experience in the medical community, and I'm really excited to talk with her. So, Allison, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing, Trisha?
Good, good. And so, my first question to you, you come in contact with people who are traumatized, who are in a lot of deep pain. What is the first bit of practical advice that you give to them?
A lot of people have don't realize that they're traumatized. You know, there are some people that are very aware with it, but I was walking around after my near-death experience in a traumatized state. So I had had this enlightening experience, you know, of our near-death experience, of just being completely out of my body and surrounded with this love and this light and these downloads, spiritual downloads of eternal, like just truth, high vibrational truth. And I chose to come back into this body that was completely shattered, traumatized, violated, violence. And, you know, that enlightenment moment kind of vanished. Because my soul had this enlightened moment, but then as I went into my body, into this traumatized nervous system that was completely broken, you know, it was like an initiation almost, because I had that near-death experience and it was beautiful, but then it felt like hell coming back into a traumatized body. And the fact is that trauma is a part of the human condition. And, you know, it is important to talk about the love and the light of, you know, the creator and God and all that we have, us near-death experiencers have personally experienced. And it's equally important to use that high vibrational medicine, that energy, to help heal, you know, part of our nervous system and the human condition. So I think that's where my work is, you know, I had this a beautiful near-death experience and I was traumatized. And I was like, well, what's the point of me being alive if I'm just constantly in pain or a flashback? So going back to your question, is first to realize it, and also realize that you're traumatized. And because a lot of us don't know, there's just all of this education and awareness coming out about trauma. And guess what? Trauma is a normal response to horrific conditions. And our survival response, it's the fight, flight, freeze, fawn. You know, these are the different things that, you know, shut down parts of our brain so we can survive. The problem is that after we survive, sometimes we don't come out of that. Also with that, we can have little t, like little traumas or big traumas. So my near-death experience was in the context of being sexually assaulted and then run over by a motor vehicle and dying on the scene. And then I had 2 years of medical trauma, which is invasive procedures. And so I just really had no control over my life. It was just healing my body. Took 2 years. So those are big traumas, but at the same time, there are little traumas. So the big trauma was, you know, the sexual assault, trauma of being, my whole body being smashed. But then the little traumas go in there too of, I think there was rumors going around about my school of what had happened, and, teenagers being teenagers. And then also the trying to finish school and being, in like so much physical pain. And so I think in the spiritual community, sometimes there's spiritual bypassing and also shaming people if they're in pain or struggling with life. And I honestly just don't agree with that. And so my whole life, because this happened when I was 15 years old, I'm now 38. This was in 1999. So my whole life has been dedicated into healing myself and healing others on all levels. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, on the nervous system, because that's the sacred work. Shining the light, and helping people heal, and so they can live, their authentic selves. I wasn't myself when you're in a traumatized state. And it's so devastating to have a trauma or to have little traumas, and then it just shifts your nervous system and you can't actually be present and live your life.
Now, I have a question for you. It's kind of based on what someone asked in the chat, which someone said, do you lose your spiritual connection with the trauma? And is the trauma louder than the spiritual connection? And I'll answer that, and I'll be curious how you integrated it. But I remember this moment after my near-death experience and after sexual assault, I saw like my inner chakra, probably like the sacral and power center, had been shot through. It was almost like a cannon had gone through me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to do some deep work here. I was aware of it. And then I realized I'd have to build my power back up again. And I would have to energetically do that and spiritually do that. I still had messages from the other side, but sometimes the trauma was louder and sometimes the messages were there. So it's like they were competing at times, or it was dulled.
The thing is that as I was lying, I was bedridden for a while, and then I had surgery, and then I was bedridden again. So I had a lot of time to connect with Creator and with that divine connection. And there was some amazing things, that was just being downloaded, and just high frequencies, angels coming in. I was like, what is going on? So I want to clarify that, yes, there, I would have horrible flashbacks, but then also it was a portal just to open me up to all of these different energies. And even before my near-death experience, I was very intuitive and very in touch with that realm as well. So it just, I can remember them having experiences where these angels and this energy was knitting my aura back together. And I knew, because of my spiritual experience, I knew there is no doubt in my mind, my whole left side was shattered. It was a miracle that I didn't have any brain damage. My doctor said, we've never seen such crushed bones in a living person before. So I didn't have any organ damage, any brain damage. So that was just a miracle in itself. But yeah, it was just, I would be connected, and then, maybe my survival mechanism would come over. But the thing is that that spiritual experience showed me is this force that we come from, this unconditional love. Anything is possible. And I'm getting chills right now. The power of love and that attunement to that frequency, I saw myself healed. There was no doubt. It took 10 years for me to be physically pain-free. And I did a lot of healing, all these different modalities, but I was like, oh, it's happening. And luckily, because of that spiritual experience, I knew I had a lot of work to do, and I knew it was going to happen. I think a lot of people don't heal because they get discouraged. They don't find the right modality, they don't find the right healer, and they just give up because they're tired of spending money, tired of trying, and there's just this giving up. And so I think my, near-death experience, or I call it my death experience because I was dead. I had this unbelievable faith, and I just saw my healing. Like it was, and the message that came when I was going back in my body was like this, it was like, heal yourself and heal others. And it was just like, and it was like, anchor that energy, this vibration into earth. And I was like, and then you're like back in your body. I'm like, in the ambulance. And so it was like a, disconnect there, because you're just, and I had surgery in a third world country, and it was just all this trauma around it. But, I was always connecting to that energy, and I felt so supported.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like even in the darkest of times, and I tell people too, like even in grief, we are supported by so much love on the other side. We may not feel it because of the physical grief at times, but there is so much support coming to us. And you described that beautifully. The time it takes and not giving up on yourself is important as well. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I want to jump forward and just give you props as a theta healer. I came to you at a time when I needed healing, and you're an amazing theta healer. Like it's really an amazing modality. And you said it makes sense to you as a near-death experiencer. It made so much sense to me. I got certified in the first part with you. And explain to people, if they're not familiar with theta healing, what it is and how it works. And I just love to hear your explanation.
So with theta healing, the main thing that we do is belief work and feeling work. And we do this process called digging. So we're trying to intuitively finding what the bottom belief is. So for example, I say people come in with the superficial or the storyline of what's going on. Maybe it's health, it's relationships, it's money, and they have like, this is happening, and it keeps on happening. I don't know what's going on. And so we go into a theta state, and I just see intuitively and psychically what is going on with the body, what is going on, with the spirit, the consciousness, what is the root issue? Because you can clear beliefs, like leaves on a tree, or you can dig up the root. And you can quicken healing from several 10 years to, 2 months, or maybe in a session. So, a lot of times our bottom beliefs can be something just as basic as I love myself. I feel like in today's society, we have a chronic, epidemic of self-hatred. And not knowing how to love ourselves, and not like egotistical love, but that deep love and appreciation and that confidence that comes from knowing who you are. And so a lot of times, so if you don't know how to love yourself, if you don't know the feeling of loving yourself, if you've never been shown that unconditional love, then you're not going to love yourself. And then there's going to be all of these different things. I'm not good enough, nothing works out, everything fail, like things like that, or people sabotage relationships, or they're attracted to, people that are destructive, and they're like, I don't know why, I'm a smart person. So a lot of our subconscious programming is there, and we can change it. So it's really about, going into that. And it's really cool because everything's energy. From a physics perspective, everything's energy, everything's moving. So if you can help shift someone's energetic belief about themselves, then it ripples outwards. So when you have like, I love myself, or I know what it feels like to be healthy, or I know how to live life pain-free. I didn't have that because I had experienced so much pain and trauma. And so I had to teach my body that, and it's a fun experience.
A question that I have for you is, a lot of people may not have heard your near-death experience story, and I want you to just take us to that moment when you left your body. It was, I love your story.
So I always like to preface this is, and watch for you what you wish for, right? Because we're all manifestors. And my sister had cancer when I was 6, and I saw her just suffer incredibly. And then I saw a lot of kids die, like more than 10 kids' funerals. And then my cousin died, and it took me to an existential crisis. Was like, okay, I know there's a God. I know I'm so connected, but why? And so I prayed hard, cried myself to sleep. God, let me know why there is suffering. Why is there so much pain? What type of God would do this? Seeing innocent kids, being given chemotherapy, suffering, dying. It was so much. So I was praying at night, and then being, pretending I was okay, having an existential crisis, and, playing the kid. And so this was 99, March 29th. And we were going to Cancun for my sister's spring break. Ironically, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So she, like 2 weeks before, couldn't go. And so we had bought everything. And so we went. And I was out with a friend. I lost her. And I decided to leave by myself. And I was walking in the middle of Cancun, and some men were following me. And I got scared. I told them to stop following me. I ran. And the last thing I remember is me, looking both ways and not seeing a car. And then, it's like with trauma, like the lights go out. And then the next thing I know, I'm struggling and fighting as they're assaulting me. And, and then I'm just screaming and trying to get away. And then it like lights go out again. And then I'm up above my body, and I'm looking down, and, this, I call it my human suit, because us near-death survivors know that, we are not, our physical body. This is not who I am. Who I am is that energy that is beyond, the physical. But I was looking at my, my dead body, because I ruptured an artery in my leg. Supposedly a motorcycle or a car hit me after the assault. And so I bled out. So I looked down, and there was like this like pool of blood. And I like looked at, this physical me, and I was like, I'm dead. Okay. And I was like, well, I'll get another one. Like, I'll get another body or something like that. So it's this real, like, interesting detachment, and there was this whole drama going on at the scene, but I really wasn't paying attention, because I was just absorbed in this unconditional love. And I always tell people, you guys know it's a hard feeling to transmute, because words like level it down, but it is like just that unconditional love, joy, bliss, and just knowing that we're so much more. And then it was like, oh, there are my past lives. And I was like, oh, damn, that's a lot. And they're like, do you want to look at them? And I was like, no, I don't want to. And so I felt like I was, on that plane of consciousness. Time doesn't exist. So I felt like I was up there for forever. Some people ask me, how long was I, clinically dead for? And I say, I was in Mexico. So we didn't really get a lot of reports. We did get some, but I was dead enough, or dead long enough, for them to arrest someone for manslaughter, but not dead enough for them to take me to the morgue, because I woke up in the ambulance. And I also love to tell people that, one of my cousins died from a car accident, and like a year and a half before this happened. And my question to God was, I always had a faith that there was something beyond. I just have always known that and connected with it since I was little. But I was like, the pain of a traumatic death, I was just like, I was mourning for my cousin. because like getting run over by something or having crushing injuries, like feels very violent to us. So I like to report that I felt nothing. I didn't feel any pain. So there's like built-in mechanisms in our body. And so it was an instant, and then I was out. So if anyone's loved one had died by, violence or by a car accident or something horrifically physical, there was no pain at all. I mean, there was a lot of pain afterwards. I mean, but there wasn't, at that time, your body can't even comprehend, all of that pain. So it just kind of shuts off. And that's a lot of times what happens with trauma. You just kind of disconnect. And then that leads us into the whole healing of the body, of when you're, back connected in your body, and then you start to remember those body memories of the trauma. And those are scary because it feels like you're like back in the trauma. I can't move, like, I can't speak. And so, when you're in a safer spot neurologically, then you start to sometimes have these flashbacks. Luckily I had those flashbacks of the horrific stuff. And that's, I feel like my brain trying to process things. But, I did have, beautiful moments of pure connection. And I had several beautiful moments in yoga, and then moments in meditation where, I was, completely out of my body and immersed in that unconditional love and light.
I have to introduce you to Shaun Lether. He's my co-host, and he runs Hawaiian IANS and Maui IANS. And he has a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes, I would love it. Hey, Shaun.
Hey, so I love hearing about what it was like when you were above your body. And so I was identifying because I had an NDE. And so what I wanted to know is, as you are above your body and you're looking down at your body, and what were you thinking when you looked down at yourself? What were the thoughts that went in your head? And if this makes sense, I think hopefully it makes sense. So what was your higher self above your body thinking as you look down at your body?
So, I think with a lot of near-death experiences, they have the same thing. It's like you're getting downloaded with all this information. So it was like a massive, lack of a better word, dump of just like, information that just got absorbed. What I was thinking was, oh, wow, I'm dead. And then I went to this thing where I went to a pre-birth memory where I was like, oh, I planned this. Like I went to the pre-birth thing of like, oh, I had decided before I was born that I was going to have this experience. So it was like this like kind of like light bulb switch. I was like, oh, and then it was like all of these things started to like, become reawakened, because that knowledge was always there. It had to be reawakened. And then it was like, oh, I chose my parents for very specific reasons. And it was like, it was very intentional, like all of these different things. And so like my soul was like, oh, and it was like, that's why like you had that struggle. So it was just like this whole thing. And then the amazing part was like, I found like everything, like creator, the universe, everything's recorded. Like I was amazed and I felt so peaceful and loved knowing that everything was recorded and that everything is known and there's no judgment. It's all love. But I was just like, oh, wow. Like, oh, I can see what I was thinking, my intentions in this life or what I was learning. And I just was like, wow, everything's recorded. And for me, I just have this pure, like nothing in our reality happens without, that loving energies knowing.
So when you're looking down on yourself, did you have a moment of like a new sort of compassion for yourself?
Oh my God. It was complete love and compassion. And also like love and compassion for every human being, like everything. Like you could, like even the men who violated me, like it was like this knowing, like they don't know what they're doing. They're just on automatic, and you know, they have been taught violence, and you know, it's you know, that was the reason for it. So it was like compassion for that. So it was like this, all of this love and compassion on such a, you know, high vibrational level. And, you know, it's like that unspeakable love.
And like an automatic forgiveness, right? Like you didn't have
Totally.
to forgive. Like there was, like, because you saw why they had done what they had done.
With forgiveness, there's, you know, I had many opportunities to practice forgiveness. I'm sure Trisha can relate.
Oh, yeah.
But that goes, but that comes from, you know, with beliefs, and that goes into like the education of boundaries and energetic boundaries. Where does Theta Healing come from? So it comes from Viana. She started it, I think it was about 22 years ago, and it's evolved. So you know, thetahealing.com, she teaches people, teachers. And so her story is a lot like mine, of just having these healing, you know, crises, and then like healing instantly of like things that, you know, that medically like weren't possible. So it's interesting that, you know, so she developed this, and she didn't have a near-death experience. She was in a coma, but she never died, but she had that same connection with that unconditional love.
I have a question from a viewer. So someone wants to know, how do you not to lose themselves with giving too much, you know, that almost traumatizing themselves by being such a giver?
Oh yeah. You know, so when I was up in that sacred space, the message was love yourself and love others. And so with boundaries, sometimes, you know, I mean, near-death experiencers are the ones that, like, you know, all of our boundaries were broken. Like, you know, our physical boundaries, our mental, intellectual boundaries, you know, our minds were just blown open. And so you have to it's a skill set. And so when you're giving too much, it's also like putting your other people's needs above your own. You know, we want to be of service of people, but then we also want to give and also respect ourselves. So what happens is, and I've been through that, where I will overgive, or, you know, I had this near-death experience, like this, I need to rescue people thing in my 20s. And then I would give and forget myself, and then I'd be resentful. So really setting boundaries is really helpful for the relationships. Like, and what boundaries are is, this is okay with me, and this is not okay with me. The issue with only intellectually doing that is that when we have trauma that is not in our, you know, prefrontal cortex, it's in our subconscious brain, we'll be doing things and we don't know why. You know, like we make 90% of our decisions from that subconscious programming, and subconscious means below, you know, our consciousness. So you know, like, you need to do the healing around that you're worthy enough for your love and respect, and you know what love and respect feels like, and you have to practice that skill of saying no, and really tuning into yourself. Am I doing this, you know, am I doing this to get something, or with different expectations under, or am I doing this like as an act of love? So a lot of us learn this when we're younger, from, you know, codependent relationships, that type of thing. So there's beliefs that are done, and then there's the practice of boundaries.
I have a quick question from another viewer who is asking, you said earlier that sometimes theta healing isn't the best option in a certain situation. So what might be an option, or what might be a situation where theta healing wouldn't work?
Well, I mean, theta healing has always worked for me. There has been times where when I was suicidal, because, you know, I was in 10 out of 10 pain, and it was 10 out of 10 pain for like 5 months, which I don't know who's experienced that, but it's a very, it's a very environmental way that my brain is like on fire. I was doing theta healing on myself, but I needed an extra step. And so I'm very open and honest and authentic, because gosh, we need that in healing communities. And I had to do ketamine. And for me, ketamine turned off that switch of the suicidal, you know, tendency. And oh shit, I just thought, I was like, oh, can I not talk about that on YouTube?
Oh, you can. It's fine.
One of my things, YouTube's got flagged and put down because I was talking about that. I was like, okay, just trying to be real. But yeah, so in that moment, I was doing theta healing, but my brain needed like a next level. So usually I like, my clients are, theta healing can help all the time. Like, I've seen it work miracles all the time. And I will always be honest with my clients, is if I see that they're spiraling, and we might need to look at something in conjunction. So like ketamine, TMS, something else to regulate their nervous system. But most of my clients have done a lot of different healings, just like myself. And so they're just wanting that spiritual connection, and then also wanting to heal the programming that they can't heal.
Wonderful. I like that answer. It's real, and it's important stuff to talk about. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there a healing you want to end with for the collective or for the group?
Yeah.
Right now, but I'll leave this up for a few, well, really into the next day, and so more people will watch it. So if you want to just
beautiful, yeah. Can it be like a couple minutes, like till like 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have time.
Okay. I know. I was thinking about that. I was sending that to you. I was like, I want to do this because I love talking about it, but it's so fun to tune in. All right. So what I'm going to have everyone do is put their hands on their heart. And do I have permission to enter in the space of all of you energetically? And if you allow that, just say yes. And I'm just going to enter in your space energetically, and I'm going to download with your permission just unconditional love. We're going to take 3 intentional deep breaths. So we're going to take an inhale. So inhale through the nose, and then holding up the top, and then exhaling through the mouth. And then another intentional inhale through the nose, holding up the top, and exhale. And the last inhale, inhaling, expanding those lungs a little bit more than before, holding up the top and exhaling through your mouth. And then allowing your energy just to expand in your heart center. The heart is one of the most powerful healing centers in our bodies. Just expanding and sending yourself that love, and then feeling that love going all the way down your body, lighting up each of your cells, the trillions of cells in your body, going all the way down your hips, your legs, your feet, and then sending that energy. And we're going to go down into Mother Earth. So we're going to connect to Mother Earth and allow and invite Mother Earth's powerful divine feminine energy coming up through your feet, coming up through your knees, your hips, lighting up each of your chakras and each of the cells, saying, thank you, I love you. And then taking another intentional deep breath in at your heart and feeling that heart expansion. And then feeling that energy going up through your throat and through every cell of your brain. And then I want you to imagine this white ball of light And it can be whatever color you want. It can be blue, green, pink, white, gold. And then imagining yourself in there. So imagining yourself in there, and we're going to go up. So we're just going to float beautifully all the way up, going higher and higher, higher and higher. And we're going to go through the Earth's atmosphere, higher and higher. And then you're going to feel these golden and white lights moving through you as you go higher and higher. Feeling this love, this alignment. And then you're going to go through these rainbow-like colors. And these are the different laws that govern our universe. So go beautifully through those. And going higher, and you're going to go through this pink and white jelly-like substance. And this is the law of compassion. And just feeling this compassion for every moment of your life and every moment you've ever been alive, sending compassion. And then sending compassion for everything you are right now in this moment. And then sending compassion all the way to all your future selves, future moments with unconditional compassion. And then you're gonna go higher and higher, and you're gonna see this white light. And as you go float higher and higher, you're gonna see that white light, and it's gonna expand and get bigger, and you're gonna go and enter this light. So now we're on that plane of consciousness of unconditional love, that plane where all us near-deathers go. So just expanding your energy field. And then I'm just going to, if you guys would like some downloads, I'm just going to tune into what you need right now, who's listening. And would you guys all, and if you like the download, you say yes out loud, because you are have the right to say yes or no. So if you would like the download, just say yes after I say it and you will receive it. So would you like to know the feeling of peace, that you can be peaceful in every moment? Would you like to know Creator's definition of unconditional love, the feeling, the knowing how to love yourself and love others in the highest and best way in every moment, and opening up those receptors in your mind and body to be able to receive this unconditional love for yourself? If you like that, say yes. Would you like to know the feeling that your life matters, that your life is precious, and that feeling and knowing within your heart and your body that you matter and you make a difference? And would you like to have Creator just harmonize your energy fields, the highest and best, so all of your chakra systems? So I'm going to command that. If you would like that, say yes. And then also, if you would like this loving energy to clear your energy field, just say yes. And I'm just going to witness that. So we're going to command Creator to clear all of your energy fields. So sending any energy that's not yours up to Creator's light, and then infusing that space with Creator's truth and unconditional love. Also, would you guys like to know what it feels like, the feeling of safety, that you're safe in your human body, that you're safe to be yourself, that feeling and Creator's highest definition of that safety? And then I'm just going to do a healing for anyone who wants it. So we can all together collectively send unconditional love out to the universe, to any soul that needs it in this moment. So we're just going to collectively with our hearts command Creator and that light just to send an instant healing and that light to anyone who needs it in this universe, anyone who's suffering, and just have them feel that wave of love. It's done, it's done, it's done. And just sending gratitude to each of you that are listening now and maybe listening later. So sending that feeling of gratitude and appreciation for your heart and your love that you give to the world, and that it is always appreciated and And Creator is so grateful. So just sending that. It's done, it's done, it's done. And then we're gonna just come back into our bodies. So just feeling that heart energy going, expanding through your chest, sending that heart energy all the way down through your feet, connecting with Mother Earth, and feeling that connection, that nourishment from Mother Earth, and then also from the light of Creator. And see that light from Mother Earth and light from the divine consciousness above us, infusing all of us with unconditional love and meeting at the heart and just expanding the heart. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. I just want to say thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'm really excited for what's happening on our planet. I know there's a lot of fear out there. However, in my soul and my bones, I mean, I just know this is a beautiful time to be alive and to spiritually awaken. And we need everyone to join in on this movement. So I'm really excited to be alive here and teaching and sharing and having these amazing conversations. It's the best.